Jai Hind to all. Welcome to my channel, Miracle Makers. In today's session, we will be studying Class 11 Statistics for Economics, chapter Collection of Data. The purpose of collection of data is to show evidence for reaching a sound and clear solution to an economic problem. To know the fluctuation in variables, we need the data relating to it for various time periods. Data are tools which help in understanding economic problems by providing information. You must be wondering, where do data come from and how do we collect these data? In the following session, we will be discussing the types of data, methods, and instruments of data collection and the various sources of obtaining these data. Data. We have repeatedly saying data. What is this data? Data are the numerically collected facts or informations which are collected by the investigator during investigation. There are two types of sources of collection of data, internal sources and external sources. Internal sources are the sources in which an organization, when the data is collected from its reports and records. Second is external sources. These external sources refers to the data collected from outside the organizations. They can be in the published form or unpublished forms. Now let us discuss about the data types. Data are mainly of two types, primary data and secondary data. Primary data. Primary data is the data which is originally collected by an investigator or an agency for the first time for some specific purpose. The sources from which the primary data is collected is called primary source. For example, population census conducted by Government of India. Such data is original in character as it is collected for the first time, and that's why it is also called as first-hand information. Secondary data. The data which is not directly collected but rather obtained from the published or unpublished sources are called as secondary data. It is also known as second-hand data. These are not original data since the enumerators or the investigators themselves do not collect this data. They simply make use of the data collected by other institutions or departments. Now let us discuss about some of the differences between primary data and secondary data. Primary data are original because these are collected by an investigator from the sources of their origin first time. And that's why they are real data, accurate data. Whereas secondary data are those data which are already existing. They were already collected by some institutions, some people, or departments, and that's why they are not original in nature. Next, primary data are always related to specific objectives of the investigator, and no any adjustments are required in this data because the investigator knows the purpose of collecting this data, why he is collecting this data. Whereas, if we talk about the secondary data, these were already collected by some other institution or department, as we have already discussed. Therefore, these needs to be adjusted by the investigator according to the objective of his investigation. Next, primary data are costlier in terms of time, money, and efforts. It involves more efforts, more time, and more money. So that's why we can say that they are not economical. Then comparison to the time, money, or efforts which are required for using secondary data. Secondary data are much less expensive than comparison to the primary data. Now let us move towards the various modes of collecting this data. Basically, primary data. There are various modes. Let's note them one by one. The first is direct personal investigation. Second, indirect oral investigation. Third, telephonic interview. Fourth, information from local correspondent. And fifth, questionnaire method. Now, let us study these various modes of collecting primary data one by one in detail. The first one is direct personal investigation. Under this method, the investigator collects data by having direct contact with the informant and conducts on-the-spot inquiry. The investigator goes to the field personally, contact the respondent, and convince them in giving the information under study. The investigator or the interviewer has the opportunity here for explaining the study and answering any query of the respondent. The interviewer can request the respondent to expand on answers that are particularly important. Next, indirect oral investigation, just opposite of this. Under this indirect oral investigation, the investigator approaches third parties who are in the possession of the information about the subject of inquiry. For example, if investigator wants to collect information from A and this A is not available at the time of interview or survey period, then the investigator can take help of some other person who knows this person A and collect the information. Next, telephonic interview. In this telephonic interview, the investigator asks questions to the informants on phone, and through this, he tries to collect the information. When the investigator collects the investigation during the investigation, it is to be conducted in shorter duration. Respondent over telephone connection is required. Now we can say that this telephonic interview is or method is very economical and it can cover wide coverage or area, and it has high response rate because it is economical. Then comes questionnaire method. Questionnaire means a set of questions which are already prepared by the investigator, whose answer he wants to know as per his objective of the survey, and he mails these set of question papers through postage or any other mode to the respondent and try to collect information. But before framing this set of questions under questionnaire, there are certain things which are to be kept in mind by the investigator. What are these? These are known as qualities of a good questionnaire. That means, what are the qualities, what are the things which should be remembered or given importance by the investigator while setting up of the questions? Let us discuss them one by one. The first one is number of questions. The number of questions asked should be limited. Questionnaires with many questions discourage people to complete it. The questions which have direct impact on investigation should be asked. Next, the questions should be very simple and clear. They should not be complex in nature. Third, proper arrangement of questions. The questions should be logically arranged. In other words, you can say proper order should be followed. For example, it will be illogical to ask number of children before asking the marital status of the informant. Next, no personal questions should be asked by the investigator because people do not agree many times to give their personal information. So the investigation should try to avoid personal questions. Next, no mathematical calculations. Mathematical calculations should be avoided in the questionnaires because it consumes time and many times respondents are not ready to do the calculations. The most example, cross-examination. Before sending these questionnaires to the informants or the respondents, a quick revision or rehearsal of these questions should be done by the informants, that whether the question sets are proper or not, and the informant will be ready to answer these questions or not. And then comes next, pilot survey. Pilot survey is strategy to check the effectiveness of questionnaire. It helps investigators by providing a primary idea about the survey. That means with the help of these various methods which he is going to conduct the investigation and collect the information, whether it is as per the objective, whether it is going to help them to meet their needs or what they want to know. Now let us move towards the other sources of secondary data. Secondary data are mostly available in two forms, published forms and unpublished forms. Now, what are these published and unpublished sources of data? Sources of secondary data, which are available in published forms, can be as follows. First, government publications. Government annually issued, or you can say publish their annual reports of various departments, such as Annual Survey of Industries, Report on Currency and Banking, and many more. There are certain semi-government publications also, which are issued by the or published by the government annually. For example, municipality and metropolitan council publish data relating to education, health, birth, and death, etc., which help us to know about the status of the population and the efforts taken by the government. Third, report on committees and commission. There are various committees which are set up by the government from time to time on various subjects. And these committees are supposed to present their report in published forms. Some of the examples are given here. You can see on the screen. And then fourth is publications of trade associations or unions. Some of the big trade associations like Sugar Mill Association publishes information regarding sugar mills in India, and trade associations also publish their policies and other informations in various ways. Next, fifth is publication of research institutions. There are various research institutions who conduct research in various fields, and they are also supposed to publish their report annually or frequently. For example, various universities and research institutions like Indian Statistical Institution, National Council of Applied Economic Research publishes a variety of statistical data as a regular feature. And then comes the journals and papers. There are many newspapers such as the Economic Times as well as magazines such as commerce, facts for you are some of the secondary data which are also periodically published by the various institutions or governments. And through this, we come to know about the various informations which are easily available to us in published form. And in this, we can add one more, and that is publication of research scholars. There are various scholars who are also involved in conducting various research, and they also publish their reports. Then there are certain international organizations who also publish their reports from time to time. Some of the examples are UNO, IMF, World Bank, and many. Then comes certain organizations which are specifically working in the field of conducting surveys and presenting statistical information in published forms. And some of the examples of them are in India is Census of India. Census of India is a department who is responsible to conduct the survey related to the population of India. And we know that in India, census are collected after every 10 years. And there is one more important organization, which is known as NSSO, National Statistical Survey Organization. So with this, we come to the end of this session. We will meet in next session with a new topic, that is method of collecting this data. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you very much.